Hello, it's Philly from Chris and Philly Functional Medicine. I wanted to talk about dragons today. My oldest daughter is obsessed with dragons. So currently we're reading the How to Train a Dragon series. It's actually probably my favorite time of the day, to tell you the truth. Snuggling in bed with her and reading the books, and they're funny, and she's sweet and cuddly and snuggly. But I, I have a positive sort of perspective of dragons now. But back in the day, I had a very negative experience when it came to dragons. And I used to think that dragons were evil and angry and snappy. And I actually started calling myself the dragon mum. So I wanted to do a video today about how or why why I called myself the dragon mum, but also how I actually have learnt to train my inner dragon mum. Hasn't completely gone, but it is definitely less snappier than what it was. so um So I wanted to talk to, mamas today, and I think that most of you would agree that it seems that losing it is, at times is just a part of motherhood. I don't think there's any perfect mums out there who are just like cool, calm, and collected and loving all the time. We have our moments. However, it can become a problem when you're crabby and snappy and irritable, and it feels like it's all the time. If this is you, you're probably, potentially starting to wonder what is actually wrong with me. And in fact, I kind of hope that you are, because I don't believe that you want to be that type of person. And there's something going on inside you, around you, that is actually causing you to be more overreactive than what you actually should, just as being a general mom. So it's probably a scenario you know all too well. Um, this is actually, I remember there was actually, it was probably quite a few mornings, but I used to find going to school so stressful. So trying to get all the kids dressed and fed and get their lunchbox done and trying to get them all down to the car. Um, to try and get to school on time, and trying to get myself done and my hair done and my makeup done, because I have to whiz back home and I have to start work. And um, now my lovely husband actually does school drop offs the most, so that is very nice. But I do remember there were many, many mornings like that where it was just chaos. There were tears, and quite often I would just snap. I would scream and I would yell at them and I would pull them into the car. And there were many, many mornings that I would remember just driving in the car, and the kids were silent in the back. They were scared of Dragon Mom and what she had just become. And I remember feeling tears running down my face, because honestly, I just used to feel so ashamed that I was snapping all the time. And back in the day, so this is when my little girls were younger, they're bigger girls now, but that is when I started to coin this. I had this self talk about myself that I am the dragon mum. Um, and back then, I just used to lash out at them. I remember, for the smallest things. I mean, I'm not perfect. I'm definitely not only a perfect mum. I still lose my cool sometimes, but it was just over the smallest little things, or the noises just jarred me. And I remember just lashing out at them all the time. And it wasn't them, it was literally me and something going on inside me. And it really actually deeply scared me, because this was not who I was, nor the type of mother that I had envisioned to be. I actually, um, we actually experienced infertility before we had our first baby. And, there were many years that I just longed to fall pregnant and to be a mom. And so then to finally be able to have children, and then, this is who I was. Um, Deep down, I just knew that I wanted, and I deep down I wanted to be that loving and nurturing mother that I imagined myself being, and that my daughters deserved. But there were many, many days it was like I was overshadowed with a dragon like anger, and often from a place that was unknown. It was almost like, where the heck is this even coming from? There's no reason that I should be this stressed and overwhelmed. Why am I reacting this way? So, if we think back, like in history, it has history shows us that losing your cool is part of being a parent. I mean, I even remember back in my when I was younger, my dad pulling out his leather belt and smacking us on the butt. I mean, maybe it's a bit politically incorrect to do that now, and rightly so. But we've come from a generation of parents who did actually, lose their cool, and sometimes displayed that in unloving and, you know, bordering abusive ways. So it's I feel like this topic is a bit taboo to talk about, actually. So, but I feel that it's something that needs to be spoken more about, because there are so many mothers who felt and behaved the way that I was constantly feeling and behaving. And I just want to share with you that often it's actually not you, it's something going on inside of you that's causing you to feel that way. And the other thing too, I was just thinking, the other thing too is that, we're often ashamed to voice the way that we're actually treating our children in our closed walls, because we just feel so ashamed about it, and we feel like we should be able to control our emotions. And why can't we control our emotions? What is wrong with me? Um, and these are the deep ingrained thoughts and feelings that many women experience, and it's not necessarily the case. It's not necessarily the case that you can't control your emotions because you can't control your emotions. There's often other stuff going on. So in reality, and this is why I love functional medicine, in reality there might, and there often are imbalances happening in your body and also in your mind. And these imbalances can literally force your dragon mum to rear its angry head way more often than it should. So, for example, you could have an infection at the gut that has caused your rage. So these infections could be things like the bacterial pathogen Helicobacter pylori, or the parasite Giardia or Candida. All of these are really inflammatory and damaging, and can actually affect your gut-brain connection. So several studies, I mean, there's heaps of studies actually, especially more recently, have observed that gut inflammation affects mental health conditions such as mood imbalances, anxiety, and depression. And that was a big thing for me, which is why I think doing gut work really helped me to reduce my anxiety and balance out my mood imbalances. I had the H. pylori infection, which is just very like fire. Literally, it was causing fire in my body. Maybe not literally, felt like it. Heartburn, which came out of me almost like a dragon blowing out flames. Very visual. So another issue that again I see, we see a lot, is a depletion of neurotransmitters. So this could be another cause as to why you're just feeling like a dragon mum. So this relates to an imbalance in your brain chemicals, dopamine and or serotonin. And if there's an imbalance or a depletion of these neurotransmitters, they can trigger impatience. Maybe impatience is like just normal humanhood, but ultra impatience, it can trigger ultra snappiness. It can even cause irrational anger, as some studies that I was looking at displayed. And so, sure enough, when I tested my own neurotransmitters, I wasn't surprised to see how low my dopamine was. And I see this time and time again in many just busy, hustling mums, because the more you hustle and the more you grind your body and your emotions, the more that these neurotransmitters literally deplete. Um, So another a reason, again, that I see an awakening of the dragon mom is toxin overload. And again, this is not something that medical doctors will talk about, but it's something that is real and can really affect you. So when your body struggles to detox and cleanse, it can literally affect your brain, and the way that it functions. So this can trigger more anxiety and depression. And again, there are studies to show the real effects of heavy metal toxicity on mental health, and I'm going to actually link those um, at the bottom of the video. So, they're just a handful of things. There's a whole heap of other imbalances, but they're kind of the key things that I see over and over again with just mamas that just cannot control their rage. So thankfully, your inner dragon mum can be balanced, tamed, and trained with a holistic step by step approach. So I am 100% advocate in getting tested for any potential imbalances in your body systems. Think your brain, your gut, your hormones, your detox pathways. So testing can be done through specialized functional medicine testing that we do within our practice. Also, be mindful of your nutrition. So, while it can be a struggle for time poor working mums to prioritize a balanced diet, prioritizing this will help you avoid blood sugar imbalances, which can then affect mood swings and energy crashes, as well as just gut inflammation if you're eating inflammatory foods. I'm sure that, if you've kind of like felt that sort of crash maybe mid afternoon and you're at work and you're chowing down chocolates and sugary snakes or whatever, chances are, you get a perk of energy, but by the time you're ready to come home and pick up the kids from school or whatever, you're in that downward spiral of that blood sugar crash, and that is absolutely going to affect your mood and how you feel. So consider what you're eating. Is there something that might actually be affecting the way that you're thinking, feeling, and behaving? Also, make sure you rest. Your body and mind repair themselves while you sleep. Um, so a lack of sleep can lead you to feel sluggish and burnt out. So don't overlook your sleep. Oh, so my dragon mum will pop its head up. You can ask Chris. It will pop its head up if I haven't had a good night's sleep. And generally, I sleep pretty well, but occasionally I let stress get the better of me, which will then affect my sleep. And I am dragon mum and dragon wife the next day. And I just know that I absolutely need to prioritize good sleep. And I'm sure that, there's many people that can relate to me for that. So you want to break your, oh, also the other thing too is you want to break this dragon mum cycle. So snapping often comes. So, let's just say you've snapped at your kids, they've been annoying you, you've snapped at them. Then comes that sense of shame and guilt, like how I mentioned, I would snap uh, at my kids before going to school, and then I'd drive in the car with my teary eyes and emotions because I just felt terrible and like really out of control. So when you're feeling these emotions, that's a very low energy frequent state, and this can then cause you or snowball you into habits that try and make you feel better, which are often, unfortunately, self sabotaging habits. So that could be things like emotional eating, or maybe you just need to get away and escape on Netflix, and you end up watching 2, 3, 4 series, and it's like, oh no, it's 1 o'clock in the morning and I have to go to bed. So you want to break this cycle, because the more you engage with these habits, like, maybe binging out on chocolate again to make you feel better, or surrounding yourself with blue light rays and EMS before you go to bed, which is going to like put your cortisol levels through the roof. The more you engage in these habits, the further you drive yourself into physiological imbalance. So to program or to reprogram this behavioral cycle, I would suggest start with awareness. So notice the way notice the emotions, the environments, and the patterns that are attached to your habits. And Chris dives really deep into these neural pathways that can affect the way that we think, feel, act, and behave, which then can feed into these physical imbalances or sometimes even cause them in the first place. Um, so I know it's not easy to tackle all of the above on your own. I'm throwing out all these suggestions. Some of you might be like, yeah, cool, I'm going to start that tomorrow. And if that is you, awesome. I got your back, girlfriend. Let me know how you go in a few weeks when you're killing it. But if you're someone who just is struggling to even get through your day, um, you know, you probably will need some support to help calm your body down and do that inner work needed, which can really make a huge difference. So, seeking a coach or a functional medicine practitioner will help you become the mum you want to be. What we call a power parent. So, a power parent is someone who is present, healthy, and connected to their family, to their purpose and their passions in this world as well. So, uh, a year after, just going back to my inner dragon story, a year after working on my own inner dragon, I was at the beach with my daughter, and at some point she stopped playing. She came running over to me, or maybe we were playing and laughing together. And she came over to me and she gave me a big hug, and she said, "Mummy, you're so kind now. You're so happy, and you smile more. You used to be an angry mummy, but now you're so kind and fun." Oh, and I will always remember that moment. My heart just exploded. It made all my hard work to rebalance everything into that hard inner work and the mental work as well. It made it all worth it. Um, and the reality is that life is full of magic that way. It might seem dark and scary and overwhelming and like there's no way out. But if you lean into the process, if you lean into the healing and the personal development process and you get these imbalances sorted out, you will have these magic moments too with your children. So my daughter, who I mentioned before, is obsessed with dragons. She actually taught me, and I was telling her I was writing this article, and she's like, "Oh, Mom, but not all dragons are mean and scary. There's nice dragons, and there's strong dragons, and there's kind dragons, and there's majestic dragons." And she reeled off all of these other dragons. And it made me realize that while my inner dragon mum will always be a part of me, I and you can train it to only rear its head when it really needs to, because we all know that, sometimes the dragon needs to rise up, but it shouldn't be rising constantly and all the time. So I've done it. It's still always a daily work in progress to train and tame that inner dragon. But I know that if I can do it, you can do it too. You have the ability to do this, especially if you focus your values and your intentions on that which you value most. And I reckon that probably high up there in your values are your children. So lean into them. So if you enjoyed this video, please, I'd actually love you to share or tag someone in this video, or share the link to a mum that might be finding it a bit hard at the moment. I feel like, especially when you're working a lot and you don't have a lot of time to socialize, you do really need to find your community and your tribe and the people that get you and the people that can support you to become a power parent and a better mom. So I'd love you to share this, and if anyone out there needs help, please reach out. I love helping people, and I'm happy